Hello everyone. I wanted to give you an update on the rescue news of 24 wild Asian leopard cats that our sanctuary is coordinating. But first, I want to thank all of the sanctuaries who came together to make this rescue possible. Wanted to kind of give you some behind the scenes information about what is going on. So if you're just joining us, again, we just broke the news that we are coordinating a rescue of 24 Asian leopard cats. And to us that work in the small cat crisis situation, we know exactly what Asian leopard cats are, but many of you might not. So I first wanted to see if I can turn the camera around and show you a little video. Let's see here. And let's play. So this is an Asian leopard kitten. Asian leopard cats are 100% wildcat, obviously found in Asia and other parts. They're extremely good hunters. They're very nocturnal. I always like to say they're more weasel-like than cat-like. But the reason this rescue is so important is for a lot of reasons. So let me start by saying that it's because Asian leopard cats are brought into the United States because they breed them with domestic cats for 4 generations to get the domestic Bengal cat. And those of you that have been following us know how many Bengal cat calls we get. And how early generation cat calls we get. And so when we say early generation, we mean the Asian leopard cat you just saw is bred to a domestic cat, and then that offspring is a F1, and then they breed to a domestic cat again, and you get an F2. You breed again, you get an F3, and so on. And when you get to the F4, it is recognized as the domestic Bengal breed. And so this was a rescue where there was a very, very large breeder in Texas. She had, at the time of her passing this week, she did die, that there was 49 cats remaining on the property. 24 of those, which were 100% Asian leopard cats, which are wild cats. The rest were Bengals of various generations. And this is one of the largest collections we've seen of Asian leopard cats, also known as ALCs for short, the acronym, contributing to the Bengal population and the early generation Bengal sales. And the reason why this is so important is because so many people want the look of exotic, and they do impulse purchases because they see these animals on social media or TikTok, but they're not committed to the lifelong behavioral traits of these cats, many which don't use the litter box, many which fight with other cats, many that have very special dietary requirements. And so we see this influx of surrenders. And so shelters like your humane societies or your local rescue groups will take in domestic Bengals and rehome them if they aren't having huge behavioral problems. There's good Bengal rescue groups too that we work with that'll rehome and really, really make sure that the home, the potential pet owner is going to be committed to this animal for the life of their animal. But there's a lot of surrender rates because of the territory urination, the medical issues, the behavioral issues. And so it has flooded sanctuaries because it flooded the pet market. And this is lucrative. These cats are being sold for $5,000 to $10,000 and upwards of $30,000 a piece. So it's really crazy that this breeder got so big and had so many Asian leopard cats. But what was horrible is they were in deplorable conditions. There's cats that have missing legs and tails from fighting. There's cats with chronic health issues. Most have chronic diarrhea. And things like that. And there was a lot of cats unsocialized. They just got too big and couldn't socialize them anymore. And so the USDA was working on shutting this individual down, but that takes a long time. So 20 of her cats were seized earlier in the year. We also know there was rumors of her cats getting out and killing domestic cats in the neighborhood. Those have not been verified, but there was a lot of rumors about that. And when this owner suddenly passed away, there was 49 cats that needed placement. The Texas USDA agent knew that we specialized in small cats and even the hybrids, and so reached out to us. But because the person, the licensee, the U.S. licensee had passed away, USDA no longer had jurisdiction over the cats. So it was referred to the local sheriff's department. It was talked about that these cats might have to go into legal probate because she was using them for profit and they were property. But then how would rescue groups go in and help and place these cats? So luckily that was able to get resolved very quickly, and the Houston SPCA took on the task of going in, removing those animals, bringing them back to their shelter, getting them vetted, working on getting them spayed and neutered, and again reached out to us to see if we could help with the Asian Leopard Cats or any unadoptable Bengals. And so it takes a partnership, it sure does. So right away we flew at our own expense our senior caretaker Elise, who has great experience with hybrids, Asian Leopard Cats, first generation Bengals, all that in between. And she went down and helped set up the crate so it was easy to care for them, because some of these are lashing out. Think of like a feral domestic cat. We don't want anybody to get bit and any rabies or bite laws to come into play. So Elise set everything up. She brought the proper food and diet. We want to get these cats transitioned to the best diet for them to help with their inflammatory bowel disease and other conditions. She started getting to know the cats, like who's really shy, who's outgoing, who might be socialized, who has a flight risk. And you remember 49 cats, they aren't living together. They were all living in those wire dog kennels, and the biggest group is 3 pairings. There is a geriatric sire there, a male, that is a grandfather and father to almost all the kittens there, and that also were sold. There's cats with cataracts, things like that. So Elise was assessing them all, and while she was doing that and flew down there in a moment's notice, I was reaching out to the members of the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance and also to other sanctuaries I've worked with that are outside the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance. There's only really 2 accredited sanctuaries that specialize and take in small cats and hybrids, and that is us, and that is Wildcat Ridge in Oregon. And so of course that was one of my first calls to make. We're so grateful because Cedar Hill in Mississippi has started taking in and has over the years a few of the domestic Bengals that we needed to place, and our sanctuaries were full. And so I reached out to them right away, and they graciously offered to take any of the domestic Bengals that were deemed unadoptable, up to 20, and that was so gracious. Luckily, that hasn't been needed at this point, but they also agreed to take in 4 Asian Leopard Cats. And then Pride Rock offered to take in, had 1 enclosure to take in. And, obviously Cheryl at Wildcat Ridge offered to take in any groupings of 3. And then Carolina Tiger Rescue said they could make a habitat available, and so they got a grouping of 3. So what we did here as the Wildcat Sanctuary is our goal was to save as many lives as possible. We don't have open Bengal space. Everybody knows that. We don't have open small cat space, but we are in the midst of devising a huge plan to rebuild Hybrid Haven. The need is here, the need is now. You will see us breaking with our capital campaign in the very near future. But what we did is, let's save more lives. So we reached out to these sanctuaries. We asked what they had space for, what their preference was for groupings. And what the Wildcat Sanctuary we decided to do is that we would take any animals, or any cats I should say, that were left over. So if that meant 2 was left over, we would take in 2. If that meant 15 was left over, it would be taken 15. As of yesterday, we were going to be taking in almost 11 to 13. We were also going to be taking in cats and then driving them to Oregon, so we might have 17 on the transport. It's changed moment by moment, and most of that is based on the health of the cats in the care and when transport dates are. because we want to make sure that every state that they're going to has different legal requirements. Oregon needs an import permit, which means a health certificate needs to be issued. And could they get on the same transport as us at TWS? That was crazy. But what was happening back here is that we have to set up for the cats we're getting. And so when it was 11 and a group of 3, that looked different than a group of, or the 8. So what the Wildcat Sanctuary is getting is 8 single Asian leopard cats, because it is more cost efficient for any sanctuary to take a group of animals that live together. So when you take a trio, it's 1 enclosure. If you take a pair, it's 1 enclosure. And we knew that would get us the most placements through our wonderful sanctuary partners. And so all those groupings were taken and we were left with singles, but we also have the experience of merging cats. And Asian leopard cats can be very feisty, and even Bengals can be very feisty to merge. So now we have 8 singles, which might mean 8 habitats down the road if we can't get mergers. We're hoping we can do mergers. We also took in the most critical medical cases, because we are the first transport out of Texas to our sanctuary, and we have a lease there, and we have our vet clinic here. And so to us, that was juggling some of the cats that maybe a younger kitten was going to go to another sanctuary, but as 2 days now, the kitten is not wanting to eat, lethargic, skinny. We're dealing with this. This was kind of a triage case. And so it's better to get that cat to us in our care versus wait for a transport that might be Wednesday. There might be one on Friday, and there's one next week. So those were the decisions that have to be made and changed at any given time. And then we had different makeups because sanctuaries committed at different times. We're so grateful because we understand sanctuaries are full in small cat space. Sanctuaries have capacity for big cats, but right now trying to place a bobcat, even a serval, and these Asian leopard cats was very, very difficult. Most of the places that stepped up and said yes are moving animals around to accommodate these animals. We're getting the naysayers from the breeders and private owners that says, if you're full, why aren't you just adopting them out? I could take a cat, I would take a cat. Well, here's the reality. These cats have been through a lot and need special care, and our goal is to have them only move once, and that is to go to a place that's a home for life. And we don't have time right now to screen every potential owner, and we don't believe Asian leopard cats, because they're 100% wild cats, should be pets in any home. And many of these are unsocialized and are too old to socialize. So this is the best place, is to have them safe at sanctuaries. We do really support people that want to help a Bengal cat that's legal to own by going to a shelter or rescue group that needs to place Bengals that are being rehomed. Many are being rehomed because they have to be a single cat, or they don't use the litter box, or they've had health issues. And so it takes, like I said, a very special owner and a very great rescue group to be able to screen to make sure that is a good fit. Right now, the Asian leopard cats are not and should not be pets, but we are so thankful they're out of the breeding market to create more Bengals. We also had groups reach out to the SPCA wanting those Asian leopard cats, and then looking at their websites, and the first thing on there is they propagate the species. They wanted them to breed. They had no interest in helping these cats once they were spayed or neutered. And so that is why getting these cats to an accredited sanctuary has been so important. But this is just the first of many. You saw us with Even Keel Exotics. They were a huge, huge breeder. They were breeding Bengals as well. 20 Bengals were part of where Sushi, Thane, Mojave, and Amira came from. We remember we were supposed to be part of a seizure of 11 bobcats, but they allowed the owner to keep the bobcats and sell them. They also had about 12 breeding Bengals. So when breeders and people try to say these are all domestic cats, then my question to them is, then why are you selling them as exotic cats? Why are you marketing them as exotic cats? Why are breeders who are breeding wild animals as pets also breeding and selling Bengals? So this does not mean every person that owns a Bengal is bad. I love Bengals. We have committed people that have Bengals in their homes, and I'm so grateful for that. We have wonderful Bengal rescue groups. I'm so grateful for that. But we have an overpopulation and surplus of these small wildcats and hybrids, and there is less and less places for them to go because the breeding has become so out of hand. And so that's why this rescue was extremely important to me, but it also was dire. It was dire. This person, there was only one person left to care for these 49 cats that were, many of them, had some sick and issues and things like that. So if you can donate to us, we so appreciate it. We already have, we didn't even look at costs. We just put somebody on a plane. We have hotel costs. We have her food costs. We have the animals' food costs. We brought food to the shelter. When we go down there, we're bringing transport crates for all of the cats, so that we have, and every sanctuary that's helping transport has to bring their own crates and crates the cats. We have lifetime care. Many of these cats, the ones we're taking in, some are a few months old and some are geriatrics, so we're gonna have geriatric care. And small cats, surprisingly enough, are more work and sometimes even more expensive medically than the big cats. And that's probably why a lot of sanctuaries don't take them in and specialize in them. But it's also so important that since we have fewer sanctuaries that can take them in, that we support those that do. But they are, medically, they're very hard. They're hard to merge. They need heated indoor areas and outdoor yards. They like to hide things. They're very nocturnal, these guys. They're very small, they're elusive. And so seeing when they're sick or anything can be harder. So we need more staff, more attention to detail. We want to make sure they're very stimulated all the time and they get the same enrichment as the big cats do. But their health with the chronic tritrichomosis they can sometimes have, which is a parasite, the IBD, which they can have. Sometimes there's dry FIP, things like that. It's just a lot more attention, a lot more work. And because so many of them can't be housed together, you have so many individual enclosures. And so already here at the sanctuary, we have over 14 hybrid areas and small cat areas like this. That is not including Serval's bobcats. I'm just talking about the teeny little ones. That also, we have cats in, domestic Bengals in each of the buildings, in the intern houses. And so now we're going into a double door, into a habitat to clean, into a building for one cat each time, versus having cats merged together, like a domestic cat rescue. So it's a lot more time intensive. It's so worthwhile. And a lot of times it's harder to raise money. People love the flashiness of tigers and, spotted golden leopards. These little Asian leopard cats that are about 10 pounds at the biggest shouldn't be left behind just because they are not a 70 to 100 pound leopard. They are just important. Their lives are just as important, and we know you will love them just as much as you do a big cat. And so your support today means so much. My huge thank you again goes out to the Houston SPCA. It goes out to Wildcat Ridge in Oregon, to Pride Rock in Texas, to Cedar Hill in Mississippi, to Carolina Tiger Rescue in North Carolina, and to Bears Etc. out of Texas, who is helping with transport. 24 cats doesn't seem like a lot, but because of the conditions they're coming from, because of the immediate need, it is a lot of cats, and we are so thankful for the sanctuary partners. Now all the sanctuaries that took the cats are Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance members, which is awesome. But we have reached out to other sanctuaries that were just full because we know other sanctuaries actually house some of the small cats. So we're so grateful. We're grateful for them. We're grateful for you. We are going to need your support through this. We've bought temporary kennels because they need to be in formal quarantine based on the situation they came out of. They're all going to need further vet care coming to TWS here. Again, the ones that are pretty much healthy or more socialized, we chose to send those to other sanctuaries also in larger groupings because that was the way we could get more cats placed. The cats that are coming to TWS all live by themselves due to different reasons. We're hoping for some mergers, but we never force cats to live together, and they're gonna need a permanent home, indoor and outdoor, just like any cat would, and they're gonna need a lot further medical attention, the ones we're bringing to the sanctuary here. So anybody that can donate, thank you so very much. We are not adopting out the Asian Leopard Cats. I'll repeat again because of the requests we received. These are going to be permanent residents. Only one of the one coming to us, I think, is named, and so we'll be naming them in the near future and then giving you sponsorship opportunities to be able to fall in love with them individually. Next week, once they get here, we'll be sharing each of their personalities and different, how they're different from each other, because there's no two the same. And then we have our VIP event. So it's been quite a big, busy week, and it will continue to be a busy week. We'll try and go live with the arrival of the transport, which is probably tomorrow afternoon or early evening. And you know, it takes a village. It took one breeder to create this problem, and it's taking all these rescue groups and sanctuaries to solve it. And it takes all of you. Your support to each and every one of us allows us to continue to do rescues like this and do it in a moment's notice. That's the important thing. You know, we want to be able to help those cats as soon as possible and have no cat left in waiting. So thank you. I hope I've answered some of your questions on the behind the scenes of the rescue here, but we're still working on getting health certificates, USDA health certificate for certain states that require that, import permits, getting crates set up for easy transfer to their move. They've been getting spayed and neutered at the SPCA since the day of the rescue. Elise has been down there helping manage care, feeding, cleaning, all that, and assessing cats before transport. And then our transport team left yesterday and will be picking up the first leg of the transport and coming safe at Sanctuary here tomorrow. So thank you for being part of this really epic, I would say, rescue, just because that's a lot of cats that will be taken out of the breeding cycle, and where wild animal genes will no longer be introduced to domestic genes, which is extremely important. Adopt, don't shop, and adopt an appropriate pet from a rescue group or shelter. So thank you so much.